Roll call, please.
Alderman Cole.
Here.
Alderman Lazara.
Here.
Alderman Shockey.
Here.
Alderman Sedmarsky.
Here.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Winger. Alderman Woods.
Here.
Mayor Police.
Here. Quorum present, please stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the City Council meeting of January 17th.
Second?
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I also need a motion for the emergency City Council meeting of January 24th. Approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
it.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? If you'd like to go to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Police. Thank you, City Council members, for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Patrick Capriati. I'm a longtime resident of Wooddale. I'm employed at the Italian Trade Commission office, the commercial section of the Italian Embassy. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Wooddale Sister City organization that we've just established. I'm also here to thank you for the support that our organization has received to date. You have allowed us, through your generosity, for the Wooddale Sister City Committee to become part of the Sister City International organization. And also, we thank you for allowing us each month to meet here for our meetings. I've been given the responsibility and the honor of guiding our Wooddale Sister City organization for the next 2 years. We now have in place an executive board made up of residents from Wooddale. The vice president of our organization, Jeff Bates, is here tonight. The treasurer is Mr. Michael Tao, the secretary, Mrs. Deborah Tao, and the executive director, Dorothy Kuchera. We, as the Wooddale Sister City organization, are in the process of laying the foundation to a successful and enjoyable first Sister City relationship with the Italian city of Cefalù on the island of Sicily. Our objective is to establish a long cultural, educational, and business partnership between the city of Wooddale and the city of Cefalù. We have filed an application calling for the establishment of a non-for-profit corporation under the laws of the state of Illinois, and which will operate under the name of City of Wooddale Sister City, Inc. We are in the process of requesting a federal tax ID number so we can establish a bank account. During our initial meetings, we have drafted and approved a set of bylaws which will govern how we operate. And we are now working on the development of marketing materials, which will tell the story of who we are and what we hope to accomplish for the city of Wooddale. We have prepared an introductory letter of our sister city and a membership application. However, before we make it formal and we issue it, we still need to get an email address which reflects our identity. And I'm here also to ask your permission to establish a sister city at the cityofwooddale.gov email. And we also need to establish a dedicated phone line and answering machine so we can receive messages from residents of Wooddale. We have, as soon as we have received these two information, we will then release our introductory letter. We've also established multiple membership committees and a membership structure which calls for an individual membership for at the cost of $25 per year, a household membership for $40 a year, and then an organizational or business membership for $50. We are in the process of establishing various committees, such as cultural, educational, business, fundraising, and we will be planning soon a membership recruitment drive, which this gives me also the opportunity to extend to all of you, city council members and your families, an opportunity to join us and become part of the Wooddale Sister City organization. The Sister City relationship with Cefalù in Italy will be the first of what we hope will be one of multiple sister cities relationship between the city of Wooddale and other cities in other parts of the world. We hope to be mindful of the ethnic diversities which make up the fabric of the city of Wooddale to identify future sister city opportunities. In helping spread the words of the Wooddale Sister City organization, we have asked for the support of Mayor Police, and we ask for your support in having information about our organization published in the upcoming City of Wooddale Community Newsletter. I also wanted to inform you that during the month of September, my wife and I traveled to Italy and had an opportunity to visit the city of Cefalù, bringing with us the official request and official invitation signed by Mayor Police seeking to establish such a sister city relationship. I'm happy to report that the mayor of Cefalù, Rosario Lapunzina, has since accepted the city of Wooddale invitation. During the upcoming months, we will be working on drafting the language which will make up the formal sister city agreement and the planning of the signing ceremonies, one which will take place in Wooddale and another which will take place in Cefalù, Italy. Once again, on behalf of the citizens of Wooddale and our committee, we thank you for your support and your guidance. We look forward in working with you for the years to come on many successful events. If you have any questions for me.
As far as the phone line here at City Hall, I did have the manager check into it. It was $10 per month. Correct, Jeff?
Therefore, I
it
would
would
like
just-
to ask this council if, for the first year at least, you will be so kind as to approve for us the sum of $120 to cover the expenses of having a dedicated phone line here at the city of Wooddale.
And Mr. Bond, before I go to the Alderman, go ahead.
Yeah, and with respect to the request, as you know, the city is restricted on how it can use funds or public funds that have to be used for a public purpose. To the extent that the Sister Cities program is a recognized program and has fostered both the business opportunities as well as furthering the relationship between the two. The city can, through whatever fund necessary, can use certain expenditures. The best thing, the cleanest would be to have the assessed charge for that $10 a month. It's relatively nominal, but that would be the cleanest way to do it, so somebody doesn't suggest that there's an inappropriate expenditure of public monies if the city council wishes to support one of its local organizations, as was suggested through, we get swim teams and things like that come before you and make a request, a formal request for a specific dollar amount. To the extent that that's the amount that's going to be then utilized to offset that, you could do that, but my recommendation would be that there'd be that nominal charge, the actual cost to the city for those charges. For the phone line, the dedicated phone line. There's not a problem having the dedicated phone line because, as said, it has some value to the city to have that, foster that kind of business relationship. With respect to the request for there to be a site or email component to it, I think the city should be cautious about that. I think the more appropriate way to handle it so that there's not an accusation that we don't regulate the content that might be on there, and you don't get any issues of that nature, is simply authorize a site or authorize a link rather to your site on the city website. So somebody says Sister City information, they can click there. That click would automatically take you to the Sister City site. It would accomplish the same objective that Sister City is looking for, and that is people who come to the City of Wooddale website are seeking information regarding sister cities. They'd still be able to do that, but it would take the burden off of city staff to constantly monitor and regulate the content of the sister city website to make sure that it comported with the city standards and all of the requirements that are imposed upon the City of Wooddale as a unit of government. And that would be my recommendation, would be the appropriate way to handle that, and just simply have that as a link on the city website.
Alderman Ray Wesley.
I have a couple of questions. What's the city, what was what was the city done in Bensonville?
I'm sorry?
What's the sister city in Bensonville?
I'm not aware of a sister city, Bensonville, or a present agreement
Well,
between.
what is it?
I could answer. Here's what happened. The Bensonville, actually, what was it, last year, when the students came, Bensonville and Wooddale worked together. Those students were all from Cefalù,
So it's the same,
but it's the same city.
Now, there is a big difference, if I may. What the city of Bensonville and the city of Wooddale sponsored an educational exchange with a school which is located in the city of Cefalù, but there's no actual sister city relationship between this administration and the present administration in Cefalù. One is an educational exchange. We are talking about a formal sister city agreement signed by the mayors and the administrations of both cities.
Hold on one second, Ray. Let me just,
this is gonna, I
one,
see where this is headed.
No,
Go
one-
ahead.
actually Dorothy Kuchera, who works for Sister Cities, who's on the executive board, is not here tonight, probably because of the weather. As far as she said, Bensonville never entered into a Sister Cities agreement. They never sent any money in for the program. As of right now, they really do not have a legal Sister Cities program. But go ahead.
So you're telling me that Bensonville does not have an agreement with that town over there?
With the present administration, and I also would like to stress what the Mayor Police just said. On our executive director is part of Sister City International, and she stated that there's a group of people in Bensonville who has been using the words of Bensonville Sister City, while they've never filed an application with Sister City International to do so, and they will be asked to cease and desist from doing that. But I wanted to stress that there was a educational exchange which had the city of Wooddale and Bensonville work together through Fenton High School in hosting a group of students from the city of Cefalù.
Could I go on?
Yes, go ahead. Continue.
My question is, I guess it's maybe a legal question too. If the city does put a link to sister cities, of course, this board here doesn't get any minutes or anything of what sister cities doing, or are we gonna get those minutes and see their reports? Because we are giving them space to use, we are giving them possibly a link. And what happens if something happens, like
Pat?
if we have the Boy Scouts, we're gonna have the Boy Scouts, we're gonna have the Cub Scouts come in, we're gonna have Holy Ghost come in, and then, you know, we're using all our spaces here, and we're paying in the Historic Society. I don't mind doing it, but if we do it for one, we're gonna have to do it for everyone too.
Mr. Bond.
Yeah, with respect to the reason I suggested you have a link to the site as opposed to letting them have content on our site is for that very reason. I think if they have content on our site, staff is required to monitor it. I think we'd also be required to monitor the activities and be informed of what those activities are. By simply having a link, none of that is necessary. All you're doing, that's no different than if somebody wants to come on and find businesses in town, they can do that, or some of the other links that we have to external entities. So from that standpoint, we wouldn't have minutes, you wouldn't be reviewing their operations, that would be a separate standalone independent operation.
But in return, anyone that starts an organization in this city would be able to come and put that name up there.
No, they would have to come before you, you would have to make a determination, and you have to make, in order to allow the link, there has to be some benefit to the public. And in this instance, you're fostering potential business relationships, your proximity to O'Hare International Airport makes you a more attractive sister city than maybe some who are more remote from the city of Chicago and from O'Hare Airport. So in response to the Cub Scouts or Holy Ghost or some of the other entities, they do not provide, while they might provide a valuable service and they're tremendous organizations, they don't provide the potential benefit to the public, in this instance an economic opportunity that this particular organization does. But that's something you would look at on a case-by-case basis. And if you determine there was some public benefit to having the Scouts or somebody on there, you're simply providing them a link. You're not offering them space. You're just giving them a link on your website. So it would be a button someone would click to say, okay, I want to learn more about that, and they could go to that area. So you're not opening Pandora's box by doing this, and the restrictions. And you may want to establish a policy for that, certainly. But the restriction would be: is there a public benefit that is potentially generated as a result of allowing that? And I think that should be the criteria you use in determining whose links you'll allow on the website, because you don't want local restaurants to have 2-for-1 drinks and they're advertising that through a link on your website. So you certainly want to have some restriction, but that's not the case in this instance.
I got more questions.
You have a follow-up? Go ahead, before I go to Alderman Woods.
Have you?
I also would like to make a statement. A true sister city organization cannot effectively function without the full support of the city and its administration. We are very much different from the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, Holy Ghost. We are an organization that fosters and promotes bilateral trade, cultural exchanges, educational exchanges.
Well,
we'll be very happy.
In that case, I can have the Polish in here, the German in here.
It will be wonderful.
Yeah. But
I've been involved in many other sister city organizations, and they do nothing but bring prosperity, an opportunity for students from Wooddale to travel the world and meet and learn other cultures. Now, we will be very happy to provide this council with the minutes of our executive board. We will also be holding monthly meetings open to the general public. And if you recall one of my invitations, I hope that all of you will take an opportunity to become an active part of Sister City International.
well, I'm glad you just brought it open about the minutes and stuff. Have you gone to Lake Park and Addison Trail and set up an agreement with them?
No, we are still.
This council, go ahead.
No, we have not done that because we are just in the beginning. We have established the bylaws. We have formed an executive committee. We are now forming committees. Once the structure is in place, we will then invite all the schools to learn what we are doing and to get advice from them.
Actually, if I can interject, in the bylaws, it states all the school districts. The reason that Wooddale did not participate in this year's student exchange was because the committee was not ready, and that's why Bensonville did it on their own, not as a true sister city, because they never filled out the paperwork. They just basically did an educational exchange. But all that is in the bylaws with the other high schools and letters, and they're in the process of working all this stuff out. You have Dorothy Kuchera, who's with Sister Cities, who is walking them through that.
Could I
Go
go on?
Go on. Something else?
Yes. I really have a problem. I take it the bylaws were adopted by your board. All right.
Yes, they were.
Which I have not seen that version of the bylaws of what you're saying. Before I sit here and spend any funds for a phone line, for anything, I would like to see those bylaws
We will be very happy to
make-
provide you with a copy of the bylaws.
to make sure that not just Fenton High School is involved with it, but
Well,
to make it secure that, I'm not saying I don't believe you or
no,
anything.
no, no, keep in mind that the bylaws will not stress any specific event or a participation with it will mention about educational exchanges, but our bylaws does not identify the entities with whom we're working.
Well,
If you're
it's
looking for
supposed
that
to.
in the bylaws, you're not going to find it.
It's supposed to be saying there's 3 high schools that we have in here. That's what this council agreed on, that when we sat here and voted on this, to give money to start the
It-
sister
it
city.
will.
Hang on. Okay, it will say the schools.
I believe it says the school district numbers, I believe, are in there. Because I remember asking Amanda for the school district numbers so I could give it to them so they can incorporate it in their bylaws.
What we can guarantee you is that all of the educational exchanges which will be undertaken by the Wooddale Sister City organization will involve all the Wooddale schools, all of them, from grade school to high school.
Wooddale schools.
Schools where citizens of Wooddale attend.
Okay.
Alderman Woods?
I was just gonna say, if it expedites matters, I'll donate the $120, if that'll help us move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need any motion?
Yeah, at this juncture, it appears as though there's simply a request, and I think if you could get a consensus of the council that there's a request to allow, subject to, certain information being provided, allow a link on the website and to allow the utilization of a phone line, and then the cost of which will be borne by the sister cities. It'd be my suggestion that the sister cities come before the council at the next council meeting or future with, and, provide a written request for the funds, or Alderman Woods could fulfill that, but provide a written request like we've received from Holy Ghost and others, swim team and so forth, and make a written request, and then the council can have the discussion if you're willing to essentially offset those nominal costs of $10 a month for that first year of operation. But right now, I think all you're looking for is there support of the council?
Exactly.
And are those two items acceptable to allow the utilization of a phone line at this point, at this juncture, paid for at $10 a month by sister cities, and also authorizing a link on the website?
Pat, real quick, the newsletter that goes out every 2 months, they asked if we could advertise it. I said I could put it under the mayor's report or whatever. Gives a little blurb, and all it has right now is Mr. Capriati's phone number, no Wooddale address or anything like that. Is that okay?
Yeah, and I think you could actually include, if, once the link is established, you could reference in the newsletter to the city's website and say you can click on the sister city's icon or whatever it is that's going to be over there.
Alderman Roy Wesley.
But in return of that, what you just said, the mayor says in his section of the newsletter, the Polish community and German could do the same thing.
Actually, in the letter, it states that, and Mr. Capriati also just said it, that they're willing to open to all other communities. And as they build membership, and if somebody wants to head the, let's say, Polish or Hispanic or French or German,
May I
They would
please,
take the
may I
lead.
please read that paragraph which addresses the point that the Alderman just made?
go ahead.
In the future, mindful of the ethnic diversities which make up the population of Wooddale, we anticipate establishing further partnerships with various cities around the world to broaden our understanding and value of diversity. These relationships will provide us with a deeper understanding and appreciations of each other's lives, customs, history, and traditions. So that is our goal. We begin with one sister city in Italy, and we hope to expand it to other sister cities.
Mr. Bond, you have a follow-up?
And generally, in my experience, what's happened is once a city gets behind a sister city program, that becomes, you go to Naperville, you've got a whole sign of all the different affiliations they have. It opens a door for other communities to take advantage of that and avail themselves of that of that opportunity. Once there's an established sister city, what that tells the other communities is there's support in the city of Wooddale for these types of programs, both cultural and economic exchange.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do we have a consensus to go forward with the link?
Yes.
I got a question.
Mr. Wesley?
Is
Alderman
Mr.
Wesley.
Is Mr. Gullo involved with this?
He'll receive a letter with all the other partnerships, all the businesses, and he'll be able to join, yes.
But he's not on executive board or anything?
Well, because the council made it so clear that they wanted residents of Wooddale running this, he's not even allowed to be on the executive board.
Okay.
He'll be able to be, like, they have
I understand.
the other, he'll be able to be on a board, he could chair some other committee, like a subcommittee. Okay. Next item, actually, I have a few written communiques. We have a thank you letter from the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots for this past Christmas. We have a thank you letter from Bensonville Food Pantry for the $1,200 that we received from the Ryder Cup banner sales. And Wooddale Bowl, like I said a couple weeks ago, Mr. Malone has asked for the $500 unless the council was willing to support a larger event of $3,500. Either way, he would be most appreciative. Anybody want to say anything on that? Well, the thing is in July, but he would have to know within the next couple of weeks so they can start advertising. That's why I put it out there a couple weeks ago, mill it over. I mean, it's $3,500. Again, he did say $500. Listen, the council only wants to do $500, and, I know the economy's a little tight. He would appreciate whatever the council wishes. Anything on that? Does somebody want to make a motion?
Motion?
If you want to, yes.
There's what's
$500 was the usual, what we've done the
For?
last 2 years. It's a senior Pro Bowl regional tournament. By doing a $3,500 tournament, they're hoping to draw bigger names and a bigger crowd.
I'll make,
You got a question?
what? Go ahead.
Alderman Eugene Wesley.
Just,
I'll make the
just for
motion.
you guys do know, I did check in, once they did have this tournament last year over there, I did contact the hotel and see if they actually used the hotels. And the Marriott there, they did book quite a few rooms over there. So it did draw some hotel stays in the committee. So just, I just want you to know that it does make hotel monies.
Okay. I'll make a motion of $500.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Alderman E. Wesley? Yes. Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman Lazaro?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
That passes. I have one other written communique. This is the Wooddale Foundation for Excellence, Educational Excellence, and having the pancake breakfast. This February 10th, it's this Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., and they are also requesting a donation of $1,000 for the event. This is the Wooddale Foundation for Educational Excellence. They're having a pancake breakfast at the junior high. They're requesting $1,000. Alderman Lazara?
Did we donate last year? And if we did, do you know what that number is?
No, I believe not.
So this is our first year with them?
This will be the first year. Naturally, it's up to 1,000, but
Okay.
that's what they're requesting. Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
Is there, did you get anything of what they use the money for? Is it for scholarships? Is it for,
Alderman Woods?
Right now, I think the bulk of it, last year and this year, will go to educational programs and technology.
Isn't, could I go on?
Go ahead.
Isn't that what the property taxes pay for? I mean, don't
The
they
ones
use-
we get or the ones we don't get?
the property taxes that the citizens pay to the schools? Doesn't that go into that program, or, I mean, what?
So you're saying we shouldn't have any other foundations or anything to support education, just?
No, I'm not saying that whatsoever.
I just-
But I'm just saying, if
Go ahead.
if they make up one foundation for what you just said, they can make up another foundation next week for another foundation, and foundation after foundation after foundation. You could run the whole school that way then, too.
Right, but the Wooddale Educational Foundation has been here for 20 years, I think, 18 years at least. And it's the only one that's been around. They've done quite a bit of good over the 18 years that they've been here. They generate quite a bit of money for the school system, helps them buy some things that they normally can't get through regular funds.
So would they be able to buy iPads for this foundation then, too?
Yes,
Alderman Woods.
yes.
Okay, sorry.
Alderman Shockey, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really not familiar with this foundation. Can we get information on this before we make a decision? I'd like to know what it's all about.
I'm
what
sure
they
we,
do.
I'm sure we can, and, God bless you. I know these are, I believe, the same organization that sponsors the golf outing in the summertime, I believe.
Correct.
You have a follow-up, Alderman Shockey?
Which golf outing?
Wooddale Foundation for Educational Excellence.
Didn't know about that either. I'd like to know what the foundation does and who is it?
We could ask them.
Appreciate it.
Alderman Eugene Wesley?
All I know is last year, I believe this organization had bought overhead projectors for most of their classrooms for education for the schools. Obviously, as you know, that we have not got our tax dollars from the state at all. Well, we're 3 months or 4 months behind. But let me just tell you one thing, the school district's in the same boat. They are in the same boat, that they have not got their money either. And they are in worse shape than us and back money that the state owes them. And this is foundation that's been, Mr. Woods stated, it's been in existence for 20 years. This time they try and get more stuff for the students and education in that perspective. I have always sat up here and said that education, and even on our public works people when they go out to classes, I am really big on education. If a guy comes up to me and says he wants to go to a class for education to learn something, I would support that, providing that it's going to be a benefit to our community. Okay, we have sent police chiefs, we have sent sergeants to classes of education. We have put education in the budget. I know this is the city money, and I understand that, but I'm thinking after the kids out here in our community that goes to these schools, that we are talking a little money here versus we give a swim team $500 every year. This is for education. So I don't know what is the deal with, it's for education for the community of students that go in our school district. Bottom line. Bottom line. And if we're going to sit here and bicker about $500 for education for our school, then I'll tell you one thing, that we might as well send a letter to the school district, we might as well send a letter to the swim team, might as well send a letter to everyone else and say we aren't making any more donations to anything. So, I mean, it's education. I would make a motion that we give them $500.
A second.
Any other questions? Alderman Sosmarsky?
Eugene for president. No, everyone here, every one of these members on this board were invited to the golf outing, and I did attend it. And so if anybody says they don't know who they are, they were all invited. And I know quite a few did not show up. And they explained everything that was going on. It was for buying things that the school board does not offer them.
500 now.
So it is for a good cause.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
No, I'd like to have more information first.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Right, that passes. That takes care of written communiques. Under mayor's report, just so everybody's aware, we are sending the letters out tomorrow to the 3 county board members. I did speak to Commissioner Fickner about the Addison Road sidewalk, and he said he would do whatever he can to help us out. And next, manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of reports this evening. First off, I over the past couple months, I've talked to quite a few of the Wooddale senior citizens, and they had some concerns about our new dial-a-ride vehicle. It seemed to be that it was a little bit harder to access for them than the older vehicles, a little bit higher up. I informed them that I couldn't offer any guarantees, but city staff would do their best to see if we can get or procure some other vehicle from Pace. We are in the process of doing that. It looks like we will be able to do it. It's not for sure, but it looks like we're hoping to have that vehicle for the seniors in March. The seniors do like the program. They just were a little worried that the new van was a little too high for them to access, so we're trying to take care of that. So I wanted to mention that. Another item, DMMC is having their large group Springfield drive down. A number of you have participated in that in the past, where we meet with our legislators and talk about pending issues. That is officially scheduled now for May 14th and 15th. So if you're interested in participating in that, please contact the manager's office. Third item, ComEd has finally given a concrete date for some Ward 4 infrastructure improvements. That concrete date is scheduled for February 14th, so that's next week. So we'll hopefully hold them to that. I'll believe that when I see it. The fourth item, I have 5 items. I'll defer to Mr. Gallus for the fourth item for a quick update.
Just a brief update for you this evening on our salt saga. As of tomorrow, we'll have 653 tons remaining to receive per our contract. So that's about 175 tons more than the last time we met. What a difference a week makes. And certainly there's more salt being consumed and utilized to treat our streets this evening as well.
My last item, I'm going to defer to Mr. Forrest.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the new Assistant Community Development Director. Jennifer was selected after several interviews. After Mr. Clicker left and opened the position, we did receive probably, about 24 applications for the position. We conducted interviews. We conducted a round of second interviews and chose Jennifer out of the candidates. She seems very well qualified. She comes to us from Lombard. So with that being said, I will let her introduce herself to you.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerk, and Alderman, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say hello and introduce myself tonight. As John said, I'm Jennifer Hennigan. I'm the new Assistant Community Development Director. I just started on Monday. And I am coming from the village of Lombard, where I spent the past 12 years working on a variety of planning and community development projects of all types and sizes. So I have a lot of experience, which I'm looking forward to applying here at the City of Wooddale, seeing how we can work with our existing business community, help to expand our tax base and improve quality of life for all the residents of Wooddale. And very excited to be part of the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Shockey, you want to say something?
I'd just like to say a welcome from the whole council.
Thank you.
That does conclude my report.
Thank you. Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
Mr. Manager, would you like to talk about the new business in Georgetown?
I wouldn't, but I'm sure Mr. Forrest would.
Well, that's fine. I think it's important that any new business that opens up in Wooddale, that the community knows that is there. And I would like to see any new businesses that come in, that the manager reports it, or the new assistant, someone.
That sounds like a plan. Yes, the Fusion Buffet opened, not sure if it was Tuesday or Wednesday for business. And, you know, they're very excited to be in town. The chef who opened the store apparently has got quite a bit of experience in the food business. You know, according to what he tells us, he actually worked at the Mirage in Las Vegas. He's been in the food business for over 30 years. Glad to be in Wooddale. He's looking forward to being successful. And there has been a grand opening ceremony scheduled for next Thursday, the 14th at 4 p.m. We tried to make it as late in the day as we could to facilitate your schedules, yet still have it be light enough outside where we'll be able to do the official ribbon cutting and take some photos and so forth. So if you're over in Georgetown, stop in and try them out. I know I will.
Thank you. Next, consent agenda. We have 7 items on the consent agenda. If no objections, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Second, Alderman Shockey.
I'd like to take off the first item.
First item? Okay. Anything else? All right, so, motion or agree, first item?
Yes.
Second? Who was the second on that? Okay. Roll call.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Thank you. Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Pardon me. Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Excuse me?
And Alderman Winger is now here.
Hi.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
That passes. Now I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the items on the agenda. Item number 2, an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 5, Section 5.503 of the Municipal Code of the City of Wooddale of 1993 to revise penalties for liquor violations and hearings before the local liquor control commissioner. Item number 3, approval of vehicle replacement 416 not to exceed amount of $21,617. Item number 4, approval of pay request partial number 8 Maxim Construction wastewater treatment plant upgrades Phase 1A project not to exceed $574,446. Item number 5, approval of pay request final number 4 A-Lamp Contractors Incorporated for Addison Road water main replacement Phase 2 in a not to exceed amount of $28,879.63. Item number 6, approval of pay request partial number 1 Independent Mechanical Industries Incorporated for the booster pumps number 4 and 5-1 project and not to exceed amount of $8,460. Item number 7, approval of pay request final number 4 MQ Sewer and Water Contractors Incorporated for the 2013 water main replacement in the not to exceed amount of $150,382.36. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
No.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
No.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
No.
That passes. Next, committee chairman reports, planning and zoning, Alderman Winger.
I have no report, thank you.
Public health and safety, Alderman Coles.
I have a report. I make a motion to adopt an ordinance on chapter 4 and Article 3 on section 4-307, and the chapter, and the chapter 5A, and article, section 5.304, A, 2, and 5.403, and 5.407 of the Municipal Code of the City of Wooddale, 1993, and regarding the video games.
That is your motion?
Do I hear a motion?
Is that your motion?
Your motion.
That's my motion.
Do I have a second? Any questions? Mr., did you want to say something, Mr.
Yeah,
Burke?
just briefly, so you understand what that is, it's rather lengthy, but what we've done is we've taken the pertinent sections of the Illinois Gaming Board rules and regulations under the administrative code, and we've incorporated those into the City of Wooddale code. That will give the law enforcement an extra enforcement arm to supplement those, and so now they're part and parcel of our code, so they can pursue it under state statute, on their local ordinance, and there's some significant benefits of being able to do that. It simply is, you know, a redundant mechanism for law enforcement to deal with the video gaming.
Thank you. Roll call.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
That passes.
That's is in my committee.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Ray, no, Eugene Wesley, sorry.
I have a, one report, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Approval of contract amendment number 1, HR Green, not to exceed an amount of $249,459.00 for the Phase 2 engineer service for Irving Park Road, Wooddale Road intersection safety improvement. That is my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Alderman E. Wesley?
No.
Alderman Woods?
No.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey? Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
No.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Abstain.
It's a loss. It fails.
It failed.
It's 4-3. Mr. Manager?
You do realize if you don't approve that contract, the safety improvements can't continue.
Alderman Coles?
This is very, very sad. This is something that we were planning on changing the Wooddale Road and Irving Park with different types of lights coming off different times. And now we shut this all down because people don't want to spend the $249,000. I thought it was a very good plan. It made the city, the square there on Wooddale Road very pretty, and I thought the guys had done a good job. But I guess we can afford having movies in the park. We can afford to do this and afford to do that. But when it comes to something that we've been working on at City Hall now, let's see, I've been here 41 years. We're still looking for the first town center. And this I thought was a very good idea to bring the center of, say, here is something different. They made very good displays of stuff that they were going to change the cement, and I thought it was a very good deal. Now, maybe it's just me, but that's the way I feel about it. Thank you.
Wesley?
The safety improvements, Jeff, that you were just talking about, would that interfere with the plans for the downtown area in any which way? I think this is why we're heading the way we are, because we don't have that plan whatsoever on that. So I guess that's my question to you.
Mr. Murmas?
Well, first off, just to go back, the council already approved a contract for this for $767,000. This amendment was for $249,000. The amendment included a slew of additions, right-of-way appraisals and negotiations, railroad improvements, topographic survey, intersection design study updates with the ICC, utility coordination, metro coordination, and project administration. To go back to your point, if it interferes with the park planning, the park planning is centered around the plan, as council previous direction was to implement the safety improvements. All the planning we have been done is focused around your decision to implement the safety improvements.
Which,
Go ahead. Want to follow up?
yes,
Go ahead.
which in return, last time I seen these guys for this doing the planning was show us a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. And I know it's a process. So when is the next time that that group's coming back?
They're not.
Mr. Manager?
Are you talking
I think.
the Euler study, or are you talking?
Yes.
Well, I defer to Mr. Forrest on that. They've done the initial report, and I'm not sure when the second report is coming.
Go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
And I also, I mean.
Yes, thank you. I've been in contact with Euler and Associates. I'm going to be meeting with them at the end of this month. They're going over some of the comment sheets that were forwarded to them, and they expect to have their report finished and ready for presentation to council in March. But I think the manager, I think we're kind of talking about two separate projects here, although in a certain respect they are kind of interconnected.
Well, that's my point.
But yeah, the safety improvements is a separate project from the Euler study, which is going to be how we can develop a public space and a downtown area.
Thank you. In an effort to help staff out, for those who voted no, so they know what direction, is there a specific item in this contract that somebody doesn't like? I mean, I'm not sure.
I want to make
Anybody?
I want to make a motion to table to next council meeting.
Or should we bring it back to committee? It seems to have some issues.
Well, that's fine. You want to make a motion? I'll make a motion to go back to committee.
We don't even need a motion. We can direct staff to the
second.
next committee. Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
It would be helpful maybe offline if the city council can give me some input ahead of time, so I can perhaps talk with HR Green so we can be better prepared, as this was at committee last week and there was one objection and now there's 4.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Alderman Eugene Wesley, before we,
I think the major objection is the railroad crossing. We were told that Metro was doing that, and all of a sudden now it's added to this project. We were told that Metro was going to do the railroad crossing. That they were going to handle the railroad crossing, the engineering and all that, and all of a sudden now it's thrown in this contract.
So
The gates and that, so I think that's the issue too. So Metro Engineering, Metro gave us directions when we approved this contract at one time that they were going to use their own engineer firm to do the railroad crossing. And now all of a sudden it's thrown into this contract.
Yep.
If I ain't mistaken, that's the way the contract was, Mr. Mayor, am I right?
I believe you're right, but the attorney says we'll just bring it back to committee next week and we'll iron these details out.
That's fine, but also if we voted at a committee, I want to know why staff hasn't told us about those changes.
Mr.
don't know.
Manager?
I don't get the contract just like this. You do.
No, it's a summarized report with all the changes. We had HR Green here. Nobody asked any questions. An overview was given in writing, and if there's questions, no problem. We'll bring it back. Absolutely.
Mr. Hogan, right?
So, I made a motion, and I guess Dan.
The
we
attorney
don't
says
need-
we don't even need a motion
Okay.
to table, just direction. Okay. And that concludes your report? Alderman Wesley?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Finance Administration, Alderman Shockey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution seeking to approve an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Schaumburg Bank and Trust N.A. for Treasury Management Services.
That is your motion? Do I have a
Yes.
second?
Second.
Question, Alderman Winger.
Just for clarification, I realize that the line item says Schaumburg is the bank, but it is Wintrust and it is in Wooddale. Schaumburg must be the home office. Is that why it's referenced Schaumburg?
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
You are correct. Wintrust Financial in and of itself is comprised of 15 separate bank charters, and underneath each of those 15 bank charters, there's a number, I think, anywhere from like 5 to 12 different banks. And Wooddale Bank and Trust falls underneath the Schaumburg Bank and Trust bank charter underneath the Wintrust corporate umbrella.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Alderman Roy Wesley.
I take it the contract was reviewed by the attorney, and that in nowhere in that contract it says about advertising for their business or using that
Mr. Bond.
their thing for a mailing list or
That is
any advertising whatsoever.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Roll call.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
No.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
That's the end of my report.
That passes. Thank you. Under other business, we do have one item. Item number 1 from the consent agenda, resolution adopting and enacting a capital improvement program for fiscal years 2014, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? The question? Any questions? Alderman Eugene Wesley.
May I would, we just got this, I believe this is the update with all the changes today. Am I
Mr.
correct?
Murmas?
That is not. That was the copy of the updated strategic plan with all the pertinent updates from a couple weeks ago.
So, my question to as a follow-up, when will we have those copies of all the changes that we discussed at the CIP for we can look at and make sure they are in there?
Mr. Wilson.
I mean, because I really don't want to vote for it unless I have a copy of it to see what's all in there.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, staff was under the impression that that was going to be included in the budget document as a sheet with the budget book that came out next Friday. That was our understanding of the direction from committee last Thursday.
Okay.
Go ahead,
May-
follow up.
So why are we voting on it tonight then? Why are we voting to adopt the CIP today, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so why are we voting for it when we haven't even seen the final documents? I don't remember this conversation that was going to be part of our budget thing. I thought the budget was going to be separate, and we voting for capital projects up there, and then we vote for the budget separate. Why would we loop it all together? I mean,
Mr. Murmas, go ahead.
I'm just, I think staff's thrown for a little bit of a loop with this one, as that's been the standard operating procedure for the past 4 years. So if you want to change that,
No,
then we'll be more than happy to.
I believe
amend
it's
that.
standard operating procedure that it's this council. Maybe I'm wrong that we voted for the CIP separate, and then we voted for the budget separate. To approve the CIP, and then the budget was separate. My question is, and you know what? Not that I don't trust staff. Believe me, I don't want you to get that impression. But it seems like more and more stuff, I'm seeing that we aren't seeing the final documents for stuff and we just approving it. I like to see the finished product on anything now on. I don't know how the rest of this council feels, but I like to see it before I vote for it. So my vote will be no for CIP.
Alderman Roy Wesley.
Brad, last week it was, you want a resolution or ordinance? Which one was it?
Resolution.
Resolution.
Resolution, yeah.
Mr. Bond, since we don't have those sheets in front of us, and we're gonna have them next Friday, what is the big, is there a big rush to push the CIP? Or could we just put it off till 2 weeks because we're getting our packets next Friday? Correct? If I'm wrong here, just
Next
let in
Friday?
here.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, correct. Next Friday is when the budget books are going to come out. And everything that we discussed the last 2 weeks about the CIP is going to be in that budget document. So the purpose of the resolution is just to give staff clear direction of what numbers actually put in the budget, because you're not actually appropriating any money until you approve the full budget. So the CIP and the purpose of the resolution is to assure staff that what's in there is what we discussed that we can put in there. So the changes were going to come with that so that it would be passed in the full appropriations ordinance with the budget. So from a practical standpoint, it's just to give staff direction of how to proceed. How to proceed. It's not a binding vote in any way, shape, or form, unless
Okay.
Mr. Bond disagrees.
Yeah, basically what you're doing is you're giving the direction of what is going to be included in there. Staff can then factor in what the cost of those are going to be and the budgetary impact, and then present that to you with the budget. And as you've done in the past, if you decide from a budgetary standpoint, or you've got some situations that you as a council rearrange the priority of, you can adjust the CIP, or there's some flooding, you've had some situations where you've adjusted it to include some flood-prone areas or whatever in the past. So, but it gives you, it is a necessary prerequisite to give staff the direction from the council and know where you're coming from in order to have the budget documents factored in there with the cost.
Go ahead, continue.
But in return, Mr. Bond, the changes were done last week, and the council hasn't seen those changes. And again, I sit there and say, what's the big difference of doing it within 2 weeks once we have the packets, the papers? And you're just shaking your head no, so I would think that it's no